We're gonna try and make this as inclusive as possible. The problem with doing this kind of breakdown with unit changes is that there's a battletome coming. We don't have all the information. So what we're doing is just going off of the sheer changes in the rules for the units, and some speculative chat of what we think it might mean, and meta-wise what it might mean for the army as a whole. There are some stark changes to several of these units. Like the Volca Berserkers now have 2 unit choices, which are essentially just weapon swaps. The war pick and the hand axe are in the same data slate, so that's interesting. I really enjoy the fact that they have done this. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna talk about just the subtle changes that they've made right now. Mitch?
Yep. Right here.
Okay. So right now this used to be one data slate, was the Volca Berserkers. And there was always like a clear winner of which one was better in the old battletome. Yep. And especially now, basically the fact that they split these into 2 means that they can point each one differently and makes one more viable than the other. And they can make some changes. Instead of it being +1 to save when you get the shield, they can just flat out change the data slate base save, which is massive for 3rd edition.
Yes, absolutely.
So
with yeah.
We had been I have talked about this before on the channel several times, but this is a massive change. It going to a base 4-up and allowing it to go up to a 3-up, and with all the save stacking that you can achieve with this army, you are pretty comfortable at keeping that 3-up. So I have a feeling that these Volca Berserkers are about to become a very big role in the new battletome.
Yeah, and more to that, with the new character, you've got these really tanky guys up front taking all the hits, and if you happen to lose 5 of them,
right? So the new character, the Auric Flamekeeper, all the leaks had been accurate. Normally I don't like working off of other people's work. I usually want to wait until I have it in hand, for obvious reasons. This ability can be quite, I have a feeling it's going to be quite pivotal with the new battletome. It is quite expensive, in my opinion, to lose 5 guys for this to happen. But losing 5 models a turn is not out of the realm of possibility with Fyreslayers, which in the end is just a flat out buff if I can position him properly.
Yeah, because ultimately in this game, with the ebb and flow of battle, you're gonna lose 5 guys for pretty easily, with all the god characters walking around, with all the super heavy hitting Alpha Strike models. Five models is nothing. You're gonna lose it anyways, so you might as well get something out of it.
Right. So the one thing that I want to be very specific on with this character is we don't know if this can stack with multiple of these guys on the battlefield, and it doesn't say that they're unique. So I can definitely have more than one on the battlefield. But will it, if I have 2 guys in range of the same death per model, can I benefit to both of them? And I have a feeling that will need some clarification. Right now, I'm going to play it as if that's okay, because the way it's worded, it doesn't tell me that I cannot benefit more than once from the same model death. So right now, this model is probably one of the cheapest characters, if not the cheapest character in the range for Fyreslayers. So 100%, I am going to be running one or two of these guys. It's just a matter of how often I'm going to get this buff off. I have no idea. It's going to need some serious playtesting.
Yeah, and I, if I had to speculate, I would say it would be, for now, you will be able to do so, but with the future FAQ or with the book, they might clarify it out and say you cannot benefit from one death for 2 characters for the tally. That being said, even then, it's fantastic. Like, the variety of different options you have for the buffs. Sure, there's some clear winners over the others, but having that versatility is pretty great. It's like a toolkit.
Right. And part of the reason why I'm going to go back to the Volca Berserkers, because I have a feeling that these are the clear winners out of these changes. The extra, they seem to be removing a lot of the rerolls from all these books, especially all the new battle tomes. They're removing rerolls whatsoever. Reroll ones, reroll all hits. They seem to be removing all those with all the changes that they're coming out with, which I am a fan of. I am a big fan of quickening up the game, and if you can find another way of buffing this unit, which they have here, and it benefits people that are better at the game too, because it's giving you +1 to attack if you get the charge off, right?
Yeah, having conditional buffs is pretty good because it basically means you're not always doing the same. You got to kind of adapt to the flow of battle,
Right.
and that's pretty cool.
Basically, what you want is this unit to be aggressive, right? That's what it's telling me, is that you want this to be out and charging and doing damage, because they're going to have 3 attacks per body. They have 10 guys. The unit champion has another +1 attack, so he's going to have 4 attacks. Currently, with the current book, the runes, there's one turn where you're going to have Ren 1 on these attacks as well. And then if you pair it with your Flamekeeper, right, you add 1 to the damage characteristics to those melee weapons on top of that. So there'll be Ren 1, 2 damage.
And don't forget all out attack, which is pretty...
Right. So be hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, which is huge. And if you have a Auric Rune Smiter, you can get +1 to your wound roll. So your 2s and 2s. It's this game. This army is becoming more and more a series of buffs on one unit to make it a blender. And then also being given the tools to be able to take the punch and then countercharge. So I'm more and more I'm looking at this, the more positive I'm becoming with these changes, because we also don't know what is happening with the new battletome. And if it's anything like the Nurgle book, I will be the happiest Fyreslayer you've ever seen.
And to that point, it seems they're really leaning into the lore of the books behind them. So, if you look at Nurgle, it's very thematic. The book is very thematic. Everything makes sense. The disease mechanic makes sense. So, with that being said, if they lean into the Fyreslayers, shockingly, Fyreslayers and Nurgle might actually have a very similar playstyle, I imagine, which is being tanky and dishing out attrition damage.
So right now, and if I'm trying to figure out what I want to build, I want these Volca Berserkers with the shields and the pickaxe, the war pick. I want that red one, right? I will try and pair them with a what's it called? A rune smiter, right? So it'll be hitting on threes, wounding on threes. When they make the charge move, one enemy unit within 1 inch of this unit, roll 1 dice for each model in this unit. For each 6, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So guess what? A unit of 30 of these guys. Roll 30 dice. That's about what? 14. Is that right? 14 mortal wounds? Something like that?
No, it's about 5 to 6.
5 to 6? Okay. I doubled it because I'm used to the 2 mortals. Okay, but like that's pretty much free damage, right? And they don't get the negative. They still have the 4-up save. So like I still think these guys are like the clear winners and might be the go-to unit for a long time. Unless there's something in the battletome, which I'm saying we don't know yet, right? So I'm just really going off of just what the stats are telling me. But yeah, I really think this is the clear winner. I still like the double hand axes.
I think they all have their place.
I think so too, but I'm not as like big on this unit as I was before. I liked these more when they were just the screen, and they were the sacrificial lamb, and I used their Berserk Fury just to get those attacks in while they got charged. But like I said, like all this, they are 10 points cheaper than the guys with the shields. And that's why I really like the fact that these are separate units now, because if they were the same points cost, these guys would be the ones with the shields would be taken, and that's it. You would never see the 2-handed axe guys.
They play completely different battlefield roles, right?
Right. I do feel like this is more defensive, and the other one's far more offensive. But I think I'm going to need more Volcates. That's a problem. We're gonna need more Volkites, boys. Okay, so for just sake of changes, we're gonna go over the Volca Berserkers now and what they were before. Okay, so we're gonna go through the changes real quick. Okay, so like the Bladed Sling Shield has changed. You used to lose your +1 to save when you first charged. You don't lose it anymore. So it's just a flat out buff to the Sling Shields. And also the Sling Shields make it a 4-up save instead of a +1 to your save, which helps very well into the new edition with the save stacking and the abilities that they have. Being able to get it to a 3-up save and comfortably keeping it there is a big difference. It feels more than an 18% increase. You know what I mean? Like it feels much nicer than trying to keep them at a 4-up. There's also ways to get these guys a 6-up ward. There's a couple ways. The playstyle is going to change. So everybody has to get used to that. You're not going to see all Volca Berserkers anymore. And I think with the new battletome, we'll have to see. So there is a lot of there's a lot of unknown with this change. And if anyone tells you otherwise, they are lying. They are flat out lying to you. Yeah, so the Volkites are going up. I have a feeling you're going to see a lot more of them. I know I'll be adding a lot more to my list. I might not be doing units of 30, but I'll probably do units of 20. Especially of the shields. A unit of 20 with shields is going to be extremely hard to chew through. If you protect it properly. Yeah. 20 Volkite Berserkers. And it's current points. It's at 340 points for 20. And that's 40 wounds.
Yeah, the wound economy is amazing.
Yeah, it's the one thing I really struggled with Fyreslayers, and it was the reinforcement rule. It's because we didn't have the model count units that were survivable enough or hit hard enough. You know what I mean? Like we had units of 5s that were survivable and hit hard enough. But now with the new Volkite Berserker change, we have something that's survivable, and we have something that can maybe not hit too hard, but it can hit decently. Zerkers with shields, sad times. Zerkers with dual axes, yes please. I agree. Crypt. I will be trying both. I'll be testing them out. I mean, I have 30 of them. So Lord knows I'm going to try them out. What really hurts the blobs of 30 is the 1-inch reach. Because more than half the unit is just not going to get into combat. So I'm thinking MSU units of 10. Bunch of naked dwarves running around screaming. Why does a pike have a 1-inch reach? Because it's a gun. It's a gun. It's fine. Everything's fine. So the change to the Aura Earthguard. Let's go with let's go over what they were in the battletome currently. So they've lost quite a few things that were really good about this unit. And when I first read this, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little negative. Okay, it was
entirely fair.
This is a nerf to this unit. There might be some things in the new battletome that might change this, but I don't currently know it to this date. I am just purely going off of what I am seeing on the new War Scroll and the old War Scroll, and that's the only thing I'm going off of. Am I confident that they will have something that will help this the Aura Earthguard in the new battletome? I think so. I really think so. They might have a special rule or a new allegiance ability that maybe rolls some of these War Scroll unit special rules into the allegiance ability. You know what I mean? And that's why they've been removed. I don't know.
It could also be something as simple as sub factions, right? Like they might have a sub faction dedicated to them that makes them more viable. And that at that point, you've got distinctive play styles of different ways of building a Fyreslayer list.
Right. And I'm looking forward to that, because I think it needs a shakeup, and it did need a shakeup with the new edition change, right? And I had been saying that for a while, and I was getting a little frustrated with trying to make this book work at a high competitive level, because everything I tried just seemed to hit another brick wall. But I am very confident in how GW has been currently writing their battle tomes, and their philosophy change on how they are approaching this this edition. And I think they can do this. I think they can fix any issues that Fyreslayers are struggling with right now with a new battle tome. I am very confident. Let's go with the Molten Rock Bolts, because this is a subtle change, but it does hurt a little bit. Okay. And I'll get into like full disclosure of why I took them and why I am kind of worried that this is just a flat out nerf, but we'll get to that. So add 1 to the damage characteristic for attacks made by a magma pike missile weapon that target monsters. In addition, if any wounds are inflicted on a monster by magma pike missile weapons, roll dice on a 4+. Until the end of the unit's next turn, have the unit's move characteristic subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. Okay, so this was low-key one of the best things that I could use to slow up a big superhero monster, and try and time it to the point where I was able to whittle down the things that were in my way so I could focus on the big baddie coming at me. Right? A lot of the times this ability alone had saved my bacon to allow me to win the game. Now,
are we talking about Archeon?
Yeah, so Archeon.
Are we talking about my Archeon?
So Archeon, anything like even Kragnos, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Makrusha, any big nasty monster that I want to hit maybe next turn, like not their next turn, but the following turn, right? So I can have time to deal with that next that threat that's immediate, and then be able to eliminate that, and then have that monster hit afterwards, instead of having both of them hit me at the same time. Right? So having it lose the one additional damage also hurts a lot, because I needed that extra damage from the from these guns to help solidify kills on monsters. But with these new Volca Berserker units, I think that might change. A lot of this stuff here is kind of wrapped around the new battletome, and the fact that it's essentially the same thing, but you can use it on any unit, which is nice. It's got more utility, but it only triggers off of 6s to hit, and you subtract 1 inch to the unit's movement up to half the unit's movement phase, or movement, actual movement. So it is a very stark difference, and my initial knee jerk reaction was, oh god, what have they done? because this unit had won me games because of how much damage they did the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
I mean, they also had the bodyguard rule, which was worth taking them for.
Right. And this was like the Sworn Protectors also had protected my heroes from just getting sniped off the table like by turn 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So this hurts the most out of all the abilities that I lost in these changes. This hurts the most. Not being able to take the Sworn Protectors anymore is a big nerf. But like I said, I have this sneaky suspicion that it's going to be in the Battletome somewhere. Maybe a sub-allegiance ability, or maybe just an allegiance ability as a whole. I don't know for sure. Sorry, what was that?
I could definitely see that happening.
Right? And we don't know. And this is why I'm saying I'm really just going off of what I see right now, because I'm going off of missing information. I can't preface that enough. This is a nerf to this unit. Like, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. They lost a lot, and they didn't help with the hit ratio. They didn't give me 3s to hit. That hurts a lot too. With all the units that have 3s to hit, and dwarves are still hitting on 4s, I was really hoping for 3s to hit. Runic Hurt Guard. Yeah. They're hurting. I don't know if I'll be fielding this unit anymore. I don't know. I have to wait until the Battletome comes out. But right now, they're going to be replaced with Volkites until otherwise.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think you're wrong in that decision, because their battlefield role as it was is they no longer fulfill. So
yeah.
So you need to basically shelve them till you have the rest of the rules that might make them worth taking.
Right. And I wish this. I wanted this unit to become better than the other units. I had bought more, just in case, because I heard rumors that Fyreslayers or dwarves were getting a new book soon. So I started buying more of the Magma Pike guys, hoping that they would be even, like, they would become 3s to hit or have more a pivotal role in the army. But currently I cannot see that. I'm not saying that these are terrible. I'm just saying there might be a better place to put those points in other places, and I will show you that in a few minutes.
So question for you. If you were to wish list to say, think up rule, what would it take for you to take this unit back?
Sworn Protectors.
Okay. That's the only thing?
And maybe a +1 to hit native to monsters through a sub-allegiance ability.
But you don't forget you have all-out attack.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that, but like, these units work better in small groups.
Fair
right?
enough.
Or at least they did. I don't know anymore. Probably not, because now you're procking off a 6 to hit. So you're probably wanting to throw as many dice as possible. Yep. I honestly, for me to take them back, they'd have to be really cheap and just be like pretty much free damage. But losing that +1 to damage has almost permanently turned them into shelf space, in my
Fair
opinion.
enough.
In my eyes.
Fair enough.
Having a unit's or reducing a movement from an army or any unit on 6s to hit is nice. But when
It's very situational.
when I can just tarp hit them with maybe Volca Berserkers with shields and then come in with Hearthguard Berserkers, right, on my terms and clean that unit up. Because Hearthguard Berserkers still hit like a truck. They don't hit as hard as they used to, as previous iterations have done, but they still hit really, really hard, and they're very survivable. The one thing that Hearthguard or the Fyreslayers struggled with was bodies on the board and trying to preface on how much I could field. The Hearthguard Berserkers, this is just a minor tweak. I forgot to mention something. The Firesteel throwing axes are useful. They're now 4s and 4s instead of 5s and 5s now.
Are you going to roll your dice now?
They'll actually do something now. I used to roll them, and I would throw 30 dice, okay, and get 2 wounds, and then they would make their 2-up save. So it's like a lot of the time I'm just like, why did I even bother?
Because one of those times you're going to get that 1 wound through, and that's going to be pivotal to you winning the game.
It never happens. It's never happened.
It will,
not once.
Eventually.
No. Well, now it will, because it's 4s and 4s.
Fair enough. But
it's never happened.
Roll every dice.
If it's a 6-up save
always.
unit, I will do it every time. If it's a 2-up save unit, I will save the time and just kill him with my mortal wounds.
You've clearly never seen me roll 1s for my Slanesh. The way I do.
So what's good and what seems bad now? Because I love seeing Fyreslayers. I'll get that at the end. Okay, so Gomez, hit me up again after I go through all the units, and then I'll do like a quick little breakdown on what seems bad and what seems really good. Zerker's greater Grot Shudas. True. Throwing axes are better than Shudas. The +1 to their abilities getting cut a little seems like a big oof. Yeah. So there's a sub-allegiance right now for the Orc Earthguard, right? That if you play Lofnir, which is the Magmadroth lodge, you can give +1 to hit to you target a unit that they're going to shoot at, and everybody gets +1 to hit from these guys, right? So they'll be all 3s and 3s. But the fact that you don't have the extra damage to monsters anymore is what really is the deal breaker for these guys. Because for 120 points and they're hitting on 3s and 3s, 1 damage, Ren 1, there's just better things to spend your points on, in my opinion.
Yeah, wound economy isn't great either with 12 points a wound. It's
when you can play, when you can just bring in Cardren Overlords characters for almost the same amount of points as 10 of these guys. Actually, it's less points. It'd be 190 points for one of the dirigible suits that has better shooting than 10 of these guys. There's an issue. And it has a 3-up save, 8 wounds. So it has less wounds, but a much better save. And this movement on it is insane. The range is the same. It's that's a problem. In my
And
opinion.
you've got the extra attacks almost from with the eye and the everything, like from the dirigible suit.
What's that?
You've got more attacks. Like it works out to be you get more hits from the dirigible suit. Yeah.
Right, because it's Ren 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's D3 damage for 2 shots. And then it's 6 shots at Ren 1 damage. So you end up having a net gain on damage for having a 190 point unit that's way faster, way more durable, and has better shooting. Because they hit on 3s and wound on 2s. Or wound on 3s, depending on what gun you're using. That I think that's a chat for another day. But like, these guys, they're gonna need some help from Allegiance ability for them to be useful. I just don't find the -1 to their a unit's movement to be viable. When I can just summon in, when I can ally in a unit that does it for free just by staring at somebody. The Aether Chemist or something like that. What's his name? I gotta get my KO book. He has a flying unit's movement just for free on a 3+. I will take him every time before I take this. Because I don't need to have the units that are not flying. I will just tar pit them. This army is very, very survivable and very tanky. I'm not afraid of a walking unit hitting my front lines. So I'm not exactly sure what they have in mind with those Aura Kurthguard, but right now they are in the most in question out of all of the current changes. The Hearthguard Berserkers, like I was saying, is a slight just tweak. I can't call it a nerf because it wasn't a nerf. The 10-inch bubble that was not wholly within was obscenely big, especially for the smaller tables. This is going to be very difficult to maintain if you're being aggressive with your Hearthguard Berserkers. I think this is telling you that we need to shift our playstyle back to a more defensive style, a more counter-offensive playstyle.
See, I can see it going both ways. You can either go hyper defensive, or you go uber offensive with your characters as well. Right,
and we'll get into that in a bit. So, with this being wholly within 9 inches, I will be getting stay tuned, because I will be going through and doing some measurements for you guys in the video portion of on YouTube. I do this live on Twitch, Shorty Paint Studios at twitch.tv. Join the chat. It's a lot of fun. So I will be doing some measurements and stuff and showing you guys. It says any Fyreslayers heroes. So that means one hero paired with another hero. It is technically all the same bubble. It's not you have to be wholly within one character. If you have multiple characters in the same area, you are just extending the range of your buffs or of this buff. which tells me there are a few characters that have gone up in usability because of this. That's the old Hearthguard Berserkers. So the Orc Hearthguard, or the Orc Runefather, on foot or on Magmadroth, has become even more pivotal for your Fyreslayers to, or your Hearthguard Berserkers to function, because you're gonna want more and more close combat oriented characters, which I think is very thematic for Fyreslayers.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, because you have to look at their roots. They come from slayers.
Right.
They're meant to be berserkers that just run into the fight. The characters aren't standing back and giving orders. They're running in with the linemen.
Right. With my past lists, I had characters just staying back and trying to stay alive. That is not very Slayer-esque. I'm not hoping for like unit changes, because these stat lines are good. Like, they are decent in combat. Like, especially the Runefather, 3-inch reach. Like, that's crazy, dude. Like, I've had this guy in combat several times, and I've had him do a lot of work. I prefer him on the Magmadroth for the 14 wounds and the ignore rend mount trait, which who knows if any of those are going to stay. I have no idea with the new battletome. I'm going to keep saying that all video long. But I have to keep saying it because I don't want you guys to get your hopes up. A lot of this could change, right? There's one thing that I always and never have really gotten use out of is the weapon breaker. I mean, honestly, I've not once have I ever rolled that.
And I can see that rule going away.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, it's neat, it's cool, but if he stays in combat with somebody until the next battle round, he's usually dead.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's got 6 wounds, he's got a 4-up save, but that's only going to keep him alive for so long.
Mm-hmm. So the reason I'd say I can see that rule going away is if you compare Gutrot Spion from Nurgle actually used to have a very similar rule.
Yeah.
Where he disabled the enemy hero's weapon. And he lost that completely. So
gotcha.
That's why
I think they're going to remove a lot of those things because they want to simplify the game. And I'm seeing that with the new War Scrolls. They've simplified a lot of the wording. Not for worse, not for better. But like just different, you know. This is the old Grimwrath Berserker, but a lot of the stat line is the same. Now he has more utility. He has different things you could choose from instead of just the 6-up Feel No Pain and 5-up Feel No Pain in combat. But he still has the pile in again on a 2+. So he gets technically on average 8 attacks. And he can get up to 12 attacks if he piles in twice. And then if he dies after killing or after doing his final attacks, he gets 12 attacks. It's crazy.
It's brutal. I've faced it. It's not fun.
And I got really good at using this character at his peak abilities. This is actually a unit that a lot of other Fyreslayer players were not using, and I thought they were all crazy. This unit, hands down, has won me games. Obviously there was other things on top of it, but me being able to get this guy in and eat a whole bunch of unleash hell shots or soak up a bunch of damage, die, and then get attacks in and kill a whole bunch of guys back, and then hit with my Hearthguard Berserkers right after, has thrown my opponents off to the point where they didn't see it coming. And the stocks on this guy are going through the roof. Because with the 9-inch bubble change to the Hearthguard Berserkers, you are going to want more and more close combat oriented characters. There's another one here. Especially with the Warwick Flamekeeper, 3s and 3s, Ren 1, 2 damage, 4 attacks. Actually, a really good close combat unit. And it's stupid cheap. It's only 80 points. Only 80 points for this character. It's the cheapest character that we have in our book. By far. That's worth taking. I'm not saying the Doomseeker is worth taking because I think he is actually the cheapest out of all of them. But I will spend the extra points every time to get a Grimwrath Berserker on the table long before I bring a Doomseeker. Just for the Ren 2 damage instead of the Ren 1 damage. The Doomseeker needs some help. I'm not too sure. I think they're going too thematic with that unit for it to be viable on the table. But that's okay. They don't need to make everything hyper competitive. The Battlesmith, also a very, very good close combat unit. Making things around him +1 to save, wholly within 12. So you're never going to, if you're going to keep him wholly within 9 inches, that means all your Hearthguard Berserkers are going to also get this character's buff. Right? A lot of the time. Depending on if you're creating that extension of bubbles with this character and you're not keeping them wholly within 12. Mind you, I think this is the one character that you're going to keep in the middle of as many units as possible, and you're going to probably try and squeeze as many units as you could possibly do just so they get +1 to save. But 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 1, 2 damage. Like that's so good for a buffing unit. Rihanna. Like I've run 2 of these and not regretted any of those points. I have a feeling that you're going to see 2 of them again. You're going to see a lot of the Grimwrath Berserkers. You're going to see a lot of the Battlesmiths, and I have a feeling you're also going to see a lot of the new Warwick Flamekeeper. And I think it's going to be in that kind of combo that you're going to see. Depending on if you need the battle line and use the or Runefather as your general, you might see these guys instead. But with the Volca Berserkers becoming far more versatile, I don't think you're going to need the Runefather anymore to fill your battle line, which also helps the army so much because you can throw your Hearthguard Berserkers in to die and not have to worry about giving up your broken ranks. Like there's so much play with these subtle changes that there's so much. I'm probably missing a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? There's so many subtle changes that are happening right now that it's making this army more and more flavorful, in my opinion. So, Mitch, what were your initial thoughts on the new character?
I honestly, I think it's great. It's a toolkit. You've got a variety of buffs that you can pick from.
Yep.
He's cheap. He's definitely worth taking, I would say. He is like, and the thing is, I think you and I disagree on this, but you think the 5 models dying is a bit costly. Whereas I look at it as it's gonna happen anyways. You would just get something out of it.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you that it's just going to happen, but it's still costly. Like, okay, but I'm looking at those 5 being Hearthguard Berserkers, but with the new changes, they probably aren't going to be. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're gonna have screens of 4 armor save, base armor save, dudes that just tank a whole bunch of damage, and if they happen to die, if something strong enough hits them, the counter hit that you're gonna do, like the counter attack that you're gonna have, is gonna be buffed with their fueled by their deaths.
So Gomez, let's go through your question real quick. I'm gonna tell. How do you want me to break this down for you, Gomez? Do you want me to just tell you who's what units are looking like they're gonna see a lot more tabletop time, or do you want me to like kind of rate everything out of 10? Are you on the same page with the Aura Hearthguard as I am?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not being hypercritical, looking at it like this is what it used to do, and it's like it's not doing that thing anymore.
Yeah, no, just looking at it side by side comparison, it's absolutely it's definitely not worth the points at this point to be fielding this unit.
Yeah, because it's 120 points for 5.
Yeah, that's pricey.
Yeah. So I didn't go into like full breakdown of why I think these guys are not nearly as good as the KO allies that I would bring in otherwise. So the Aura Hearthguard are 120 points. They hit on force, right? Ren 1 damage, 18-inch range. Okay, it's not great. You know, it's kind of a meh data slate. But when you look at the Caradhran Overlord's dirigible suit or Brock, right? You can get Brock for 200 points. He's 8 wounds, 3 up save, 12-inch movement, which is fly. 2 shots are at 18-inch range. Ren hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. Ren 2 D3 damage. Then on top of that, he's 6 shots, 3s and 3s. Ren 1 damage. And then on the charge, before the combat phase, on a 2+, he does D3 mortal wounds, like as if it's a impact hit, right? And then on top of that, he's 4 attacks, 3s and 2s, Ren 2 D3 damage in combat. So he kind of does everything. And he's only 200 points. And he has objectively more output than a unit of 10 of these guys. And far more utility.
Not to mention 3 times the speed.
Right. And I'm not even including the speed. And then the dirigible suit is almost exactly the same, has 1 less attack, but it's only 190 points. Right? Has the same shooting output, essentially. Almost identical as Brock. And it's like 3-up save as well. So I would rather have those two as my allies than take a unit of 1 or 2 of these for slightly less points. Mainly because I've used Brock and I've used the KO Character and Overlord characters as a speed bump. And I've held up a whole unit of Gut Rippers for 2.5 turns with Brock. So like there's so much utility to the allies with Kharadron Overlords and Fyreslayers because they shore up each other's weaknesses. I think, but overall, so the Auric Flamekeeper, I am very, very pleased and very happy with this inclusion. Initially, I did not think we needed another character in a battletome that's filled with characters. I was hoping for another unit, but I have a feeling this is going to become a very pivotal character in the new battletome going forward. The Auric Hearthguard Berserker or Auric Hearthguard, they are about to possibly find a spot on the shelf and look really pretty because I painted them nicely.
For now, at least.
Yes. Preface: the new battletome could change everything. I have no idea, but I'm just going off the stat changes. Stick around, guys. I am going, especially if you're watching this on YouTube, I will be going through the how you can keep these guys safe from the bad mans, from removing your 9-inch, the 4-up ward, and keep these guys alive. I will show you that the 9-inch aura is not doom and gloom. It's just making it so you have to play a little bit more techie and play a tighter and more skillful game than you used to. But other than that, nothing else has really changed with these guys. They're still hitting like a freight train. Grimwrath Berserkers, this is the old battletome stat line. I don't have the new one obviously on a card. But this guy is going to be very important in the new battletome with everything I'm seeing in the stat lines and everything that's changed. But yeah, so I have a feeling that Grimwrath Berserkers are going to be very, very important. Auric Runefather on Magmadroth and on foot. Who knows what they're going to do with the Magmadroths? So everybody was running the Auric Runefather on Magmadroth and on foot, or vice versa, just to make the Hearthguard Berserkers battle line. I have a feeling that might change in the new battletome. Because
yeah, I can see there being a lodge that makes them battle line.
Right. And I'm all for it. 100%. Okay. Like I loved how they changed to get different battle line units in the Nurgle book. Like honestly, absolutely. I should probably just buy that book because I like that book that much.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. I probably should become part of the Nurgly crowd, but I really don't need another army. That's pretty much the reason why I haven't jumped in on that. But I have a feeling, I have a sneaky suspicion. I don't know any info, like inside info, but I have a very sneaky suspicion that this is, he's not going to be as pivotal making your Hearthguard Berserkers battle line anymore. But time will tell.
Yeah. I can still see him having the conditional battle line rule.
Yeah.
It's just that there might be an additional way Like just like you have, if you look at Pascoil Blight Lords for Nurgle, they can either be battle line if you have a Lord of Afflictions, or they can be battle line in their own lodge or their own sub faction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I
So-
like, I'm all for that. I love that. I love that style of rules and book writing. So I'm all for it. And I'm hoping they continue that down the road. So Volca Berserkers now have 2 data slates, which allows them to have separate points for each. Like, so this unit without shields and this unit that has a shield. Obvious difference in saves, the save stacking, and all that goodness. So really, they needed a separate battletome data slate for it to make sense. I'm all for this change. This makes me very happy to see that they fixed the shields to have a static buff to their save, opposed to giving them a +1 to their save roll like they had previously. I have a feeling you're going to see a bunch of these guys running around as meat shields for the Hearthguard Berserkers that are going to do all the damage. Time will tell, but that is my prediction that these are going to be in almost every list. These guys might make it into some lists, but that's more probably meta dependent. Just because of the amount of attacks that they'll have, they will be very good at clearing horde units. Right? But also the Hearthguard Berserkers with the 2 damage axes might be still better at clearing chaff and horde units. But I think if you're trying to remove mass hordes and still kind of squeak out battle line units and not have your Hearthguard Berserkers your battle line units, then these guys might be your go-to. It all depends on points at that point, you know? So give them 4 attacks. I mean, one guy has 4 attacks. Like the Carl has 4 attacks on the charge. They don't need 4 attacks. 3 is a lot. Especially when you're going to have 30 of them. Potentially. Yeah, so I'm very, very happy with this change. I don't think they could have done much better with this unit and the change they've made to it. I'm very happy with having a 4-up save battle line unit to choose from. Battlesmith and the change to the Hearthguard Berserker will change this, and having a 4-up save battle line unit paired with the Battlesmith means the Battlesmith is going to be even more prevalent in competitive lists. Do you have anything to add, Mitch?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything, all my thoughts, and I think we covered where we differ and where we agree, and
yeah. And you know what? The thing is, chat, a lot of this stuff is so maybe playstyle dependent. Like me and Mitch play a very different game. Okay, I'm very counter offensive and defensive first. Mitch is very attack first. Yep. He's like, my best defense is my best offense. Mine is, I'm going to trap my opponent into hitting that unit, and then I'm going to counter punch them with another unit. Right? So We play a very different game, which will reflect in our lists. So I think with all these changes that have happened, with all these things that have changed, all these changes that have happened, this is gonna be a make for a far more unique style of Fyreslayers for each player that plays Fyreslayers. You're not going to see, in my opinion, you're not going to see everyone playing exactly the same thing.
Which is what it pretty much had devolved into. It was literally the same list copy-pasted every time,
right,
for every Fyreslayer player out there.
But it's because it was Battletome, Hearthguard, Berserkers, and we didn't have anything else really worth bringing. I changed it up a little bit by bringing the Grimwrath Berserker, and that was like my one snowflake, I'm special kind of unit choice. Like no one else ever played it. No one ever really brought Grimwrath Berserkers. They were all bringing Mass Priests and Battlesmiths and everybody on foot, and just bringing as many Hearthguard Berserkers as they could. Me, I was like, no, you know what? This works better. A Ren 3, 2 damage, 6 is to hit or 3 damage. Grimwrath Berserker sounds pretty spicy to me. And a Run and Charge Lodge from Vostarg was also my go-to for a long time in 2nd edition.
When everybody else was playing Hermdar.
Where everybody was playing Hermdar. And I made it work.
Yeah.
And I made people afraid of those running angry little gingers.
Yeah. I think you did better with the Vostarg than you did with Hermdar.
It's because it fit my playstyle. Right?
Yeah.
Like the counter punch is what is my playstyle, right? Having that extra burst of speed, having my opponent forget that I can do that, even though they know I remind them every time. And I'm very good at reminding them, hey, remember, I can run and charge with all these units that are on the table right here that are within range of this one guy. I reminded them.
Yeah.
Right. And they still would fall into my trap. Like it's just one of those things. Like it's like I'm predicting you're going to make mistakes. But yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for the chat. Stick around, guys. Hey guys, Shorty here. We're talking about the Hearthguard Berserker changes with the Holy Within 9 inches. There's a lot of discussion about if it's from a singular character that the whole unit has to be within, or since it's on the actual War Scroll itself, if it's measured by model. And then if the whole unit is wholly within any heroes, which I am thinking this is what was intended to be, because it's coming from the unit itself, not the characters themselves. That you're going to measure 9 inches from every model in the unit to check to see if you're wholly within 9 of any Fyreslayers heroes, not from a singular character itself. This is a very different rule from normal, guys, so let me know what you guys think. If you agree or if you disagree, let me know in the comments. And like and subscribe the YouTube channel.